Hello, welcome to Tabletop CP, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at the Bolt Action Starter Set. So it is now called the Bolt Action Starter Set. I know it says Introductory Set, but they're going to rebrand it, and they've sent me some images of what it's going to look like. So if you're Bolt Action curious, and you're thinking about getting the starter set, this is what you're going to be looking for. So a little bit different, but a lot the same, renamed. So look for this box when you're looking to buy the brand new Bolt Action 3rd edition starter set. Alright, so what is the Bolt Action starter set? Well, it's for brand new players. You've never played Bolt Action, possibly never even played a miniatures game in your life. This is a great place to start. It's going to have all the very basic stuff you need to get started with Bolt Action. So Bolt Action is a multifaceted hobby, as are all miniature games really, but Bolt Action specifically for me is the best because I love history. I love World War II. I love the fast-paced gameplay of it. Simple to learn, hard to master. It's got all the elements you could need for a really good miniatures game. Alright, so Bolt Action starter set, again, it's going to look a little different, but it will look almost exactly the same with a different name. Alright, so what do we have in the Bolt Action starter set? Well, first of all, let's just take a quick look at the outside of the box. Again, it's going to look a little bit different, but very similar. It's going to just have some really nice artwork on the front. A happy couple in the back. So let's go ahead and open this thing up. Alright, so we got packed by Alexandra. Thank you for packing that so nicely, Alexandra. And first off here, we're going to have some order dice. So order dice are one of the unique mechanics in Bolt Action that makes it stand apart from a lot of other miniatures games. A lot of games are you go, I go, which basically means I take up all my turn, you take all of your turn. Bolt Action is different. It's random activation. So these go into a dice bag, which is this thing here. And you pull the dice out. Each side is given a color. In this case, the Germans will be gray. The Americans will be green. And when one of their color dice comes out, that person gets to activate one of their units on the table and do one of the things listed on the order dice, which we're not going to go over that right now. There's 6 different actions you can take with the order dice, and all of them are going to help you achieve victory in the game. So moving on here, we have a couple of extra bases. So each mini is going to go on a base. I say mini, it's kind of an interchangeable word for a miniature, mini, model. Either one works. So I got bases. Each one for each mini is going to have its own base. It's for stability. It's also for spacing and coherency during the game, which you'll see as you get into Bolt Action. So aside from minis, you're going to need terrain. So terrain is what your troops hide in. It's what your troops hide behind. It affects lines of sight during the game. It's a huge part of the game. And this box does come with some terrain as well. This is the Ruined Hamlet from Warlord Games. I have about 5 of these that I put together to make very large pieces of terrain. This one's going to be pretty small just because it's one ruined hamlet or one ruined building, but you can buy a box of these that has, I think, I don't know exactly, maybe 4 or 5 of these sprues in it. So you can make quite big pieces of terrain to hide in. There's also going to be forest and whatever you can imagine you can do as part of the terrain part of the hobby. So you got your ruined hamlet here, which is nice. And then you're going to have the troops. So there's 2 sprues of each. We got Germans. So the Germans in this sprue are an older model kit. I would not be surprised if these are replaced with the new German veteran sprues that are coming out with 3rd edition as part of the rebranding. But these German sprues are perfectly fine. I have hundreds of these that I built up for my late war Germans. It comes with everything you need to equip these guys. It's got K98 rifles, it's got MG42s, it's got the assault rifles even. And it has MP40s. It even has a PPSH Soviet machine gun. And the Germans, the way I built mine, they're very ragtag looking. And I like that. Some of them wearing helmets, some of them aren't. Some of them wearing Ziltaband shelters, some of them aren't. You can make Germans look very unique. That's one of the things I like about the German faction, is there's a lot of personalization that goes on with the building of them. Unlike someone say like the British, who are all very much the same. The Germans are a little bit different. They allow you a little bit more freedom as far as a game based on uniformed soldiers goes. The ones I have not seen are these American Rangers. So it's 2 sprues of American Rangers. So I have the very first American troops that Warlord put out as my American army. And the very first generation of Warlord sculpts, honestly, were not that great. The new ones are much, much better. And these Rangers have all of the bits that used to be metal bits attached to the plastic bodies are now fully customizable plastic. For example, the Bangalore torpedo, that was a metal arm that went on a plastic body, which is not ideal. But having them all in plastic now gives you a lot of variety. The Americans don't get as much variety as far as uniforms go. You're not going to see a lot of them run around without helmets, for example, but there is some chance for customization in here. And these can also be used if you already have Americans. You can use these guys to build engineer squads for your new engineer platoon. You can build bazooka teams, as each sprue is going to come with a bazooka. And then I've got Bangalore torpedo. You got a satchel charge. Looks like you got only 1 BAR, which is fine per sprue. Bunch of M1 rifles, packs, helmets with goggles. So a lot of different ways to kind of personalize your American. So I like these American Rangers, and I'll probably use these guys to start building some more engineer platoons or engineer squads for 3rd edition. So moving on here, we got the rest of the bases for these guys, because you're going to need a base for every single mini, so it comes with enough bases to do that. And then next up we're going to have, which is I think super cool, is this cardboard half track. So vehicles are a huge part of bolt action, as they were a huge part of World War II. Kind of the first war that really used vehicles to great effect was World War II. And to no surprise, tanks, armored cars, half tracks, scout vehicles, recon vehicles, big part of the game. So to give you the flavor of that, they give you a plastic half track, assuming it's to keep the price down. But of course, you can buy almost any vehicle that fought in World War II in plastic from Warlord games. So you got your plastic half track, which is going to be part of some of the scenarios to teach you the game. You have a measuring ruler here. So you're going to need a tape measure is preferred. It's kind of what everyone uses, but I guess instead of putting a tape measure in here, they put this in. This game, along with many other mini games, is range based. You got different ranges for various weapons. You got different ranges for movement for troops. You got different ranges for movement for vehicles. So having a way to measure distances in the game is important. So they've included a 6-inch ruler. We've also included some pins. So pinning, huge part of the game as well. Pins are basically ways to suppress your opponent. The more pins they have, the harder it's going to be for them to activate when they do pull one of their dice. So that has to be tracked. They give you enough to track how many pins your guys have. So that's your kind of just cardboard accessory pack here for that. You got a way to go in and buy the actual rule book, which there is no rule book included in this. I guess that's also to keep the price down. But I guess once they get you hooked on it, then you can order the rule book, and again, all the vehicles you could ever want, you can get from Warlord Games. Moving on here, we're going to have some war accessories. So first of all, this is a bunker, which is super cool. I mean, I would probably use this on my table, even though I already have all the terrain and everything, but it looks good enough to be a piece of terrain. You got a place to put your AA gun up here. You got a place for your machine gun to fire out. Super cool. So nice little starter set piece of terrain there. Pre-painted. Move some of this stuff out of the way. So next up we're going to have a gaming mat. So you can see here I have a fleece gaming mat. You can get fleece gaming mats from snow to jungle to city to science fiction, you name it. You can get these fleece gaming mats. They're 6x4, which is a standard table size for a game of bolt action. But as this being a starter set, they have given you a small gaming mat to play on. It is paper, and on one side it is grass. I'm just curious, what size is this thing? This is, looks like 22 by 30. So a 22 by 30 paper gaming mat included. One side is just going to be plain grass. The other side is going to be grass, but with a road on it. So the detail, actually it looks really good. You can see individual pebbles and rocks and blades of grass. So super cool. And this is the only size you're going to need to play these introductory missions, which are in this field manual here. So this is the book that comes with the starter set. And looking through it, it's just going to give you the basics of bolt action from the hobby side to the rule side. We'll just flip through here real quick. Here is a picture of a fully fleshed out gaming table. Again, that is a huge part of the hobby of bolt action, is building terrain. You can make these things as detailed and intricate as you want, or you could just play with whatever you happen to have on hand, a stack of books, a few trees, whatever you want to do, you can do it. But going in and making a really nice looking table is a big part of the hobby. So moving on here, it gives you a little bit of history about the Second World War. Bolt action covers every single theater of the war, starting from 1939 in Poland, France. Then you have the Mediterranean theater with the desert, Italy, the Balkans. Of course, you got the Eastern Front, the biggest theater of the war. Soviets versus Germans. The bloodiest, hardest part of the fighting of the entire war happened here. You got your Empire in Flames, which is the Pacific, Japan versus the Americans and the Commonwealth. And you can buy minis for all this stuff. And then, of course, late war Europe. So you got your D-Day, Market Garden, stuff like that. Moving on, it gives you a little very basic on how to build the miniatures. There are entire YouTube channels dedicated to building and painting minis. They're a great resource. I would suggest kind of searching those out when you get started on wanting to do this, to get some really useful tips from guys who are passionate about this stuff and they know what they're talking about. Moving on here, it just gives you a summary of the order dice, basic concepts, pins, talks about pins. Got your sprue guides, tells you what everything is. So they match, a lot of them will match with certain things, like left arm for one thing, right arm for another. So it's important to look at these when you're building. Of course, you don't have to. You can take whatever creative freedoms you want to do with this stuff. Kit bashing is a huge part of this hobby as well. I know I keep saying that, but it is really a multifaceted hobby that you can just get stuck in and you never get out. So, but this is a great way to start it. But moving on, so we got our first mission, first contact. This is just going to give you the basics of moving and shooting. Okay, you're shooting, your moving distances, your moving ranges. It's also going to show you how to build more specifically with color coding your Germans and Americans. Next up, we got a mission 2, which is defensive position. This is going to use that to ruin farmhouse. Teach you about cover, lines of sight, I'm assuming. More American minis. Mission 3, the whites of their eyes. So this is going to go over close quarters fighting. So that is going to be hand-to-hand combat, which is very decisive and very bloody in bolt action. You're not going to be stuck in a hand-to-hand combat in bolt action for multiple turns, I can tell you that much. And then mission 4 is going to teach you about pins, about the importance of pins, how to give them, how to get rid of them. And mission 5 is going to be using the cardboard half track. It's going to teach you about vehicles, how vehicles move, how transports work, and the effects of damage onto vehicles and how to damage them. So only certain vehicles can, or certain weapons can damage vehicles, obviously, like a bazooka. So you're not going to take out a half track with just a rifle. You're going to need something bigger like a bazooka. So they put a bazooka on the sprue, so you'll be able to build one to help deal with that German half track. And then finally, we got Mission 6, All Out War. Now it's time to use all the rules you've learned into one game. And it gives you a little setup here. You put your farmhouse, half track starts there. You got your German and American setup areas. So a very basic, small game using all the rules, the basic rules that they taught you in this book. Of course, in version 3 book, there's a ton more rules. There's army list. So you're going to need to get that when you get beyond the starter set. So moving on, we got painting guides. So this will teach you tons of different techniques. Again, there's a million YouTube channels of guys teaching you and showing you how to do this stuff. It's not that hard. I know it might look hard when you look at these at first and think, man, how am I going to paint something that small? But honestly, it's fairly simple once you've mastered a few of these basic techniques. So it teaches you the Americans, and then it says what to do next. Obviously, you're going to need to order the 3rd edition rule book to get the full bolt action experience. And then it talks about adding to your collections. And other nations, of course, you got your British here, you got your Japanese, Soviets, Italians, and then other allies. So tons of different allies. You got resistance fighters, Belgians, Polish, everything. I mean, it's very, very detailed, the game, and it's fairly accurate to history as well. And that is the Bolt Action Field Manual. Alright, so that is it for the Bolt Action starter set. Again, it's the starter set now, so it's not going to look exactly like this, but it will look very similar. So if you're looking to get into Bolt Action, you've never played a miniatures game, you love World War II, then this is the game for you. It's fast paced, it's fairly easy to learn, but again, hard to master, which makes it a great game. And with the older dice activation, it makes it truly one of a kind game. So I would definitely recommend checking this starter set out if you've never played and you want to play. Also check out our channel. We have a ton of bolt action videos, ton of battle reports which will show us going through the game, and we go over a lot of the rules in them as well. So with that being said, hopefully you guys will want to jump in on the bolt action train, as its 3rd edition is now taken off, and it's pretty popular, and there's a lot of people playing it, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And more players, the better. So check out the Bolt Action starter set. Let us know what you guys think.